Hey church, I hope you're all doing really great. I'm here to bring you the devotional on Proverbs 16 today. I know it sounds a little cliched, but I would really recommend you to take 2 to 3 minutes of your time and read through this chapter so that you can connect with me much better on what I'm gonna say. Alright, let's get into it then. So Proverbs 16 is a little different from all the other proverbs that we've been reviewing so far. The chapter in itself talks a little less about wisdom personified or about how to attain wisdom and more about the characteristics of wisdom. And this is what we'll be seeing today. So I'm going to split this chapter into 3 sections and we'll explore them as we go along. The first section is from verse 10 to 15, which talks about leadership qualities. The chapter really talks about kings, but since we did not draw a parallel to kings in our day-to-day life, I'm going to take it down a notch to leaders. You might think you're not really in a leadership position, but wherever you are, whatever situation you are in today, if you have at least one person who is looking up to you or who listens to you, then God is calling you to be a leader. And as a leader, there are certain things that He expects of you. The first thing is, He says a leader motivates his people, all the people around him. The second thing He says is that a true leader does not betray justice. He does not exploit, he does not mislead, or he does not show favoritism to those under him. The third thing is detests wrongdoing and values honesty. I think this really draws a parallel to the character of God. He wants us to be honest and transparent in all our transactions, just like He is, so that nobody can ever point a finger at us. And the final thing He says is about temper. The Message version puts it very beautifully where it says, an intemperate leader wreaks havoc in the lives of his people, whereas a good-tempered leader invigorates lives. And that's just a really beautiful way to look at it. Moving on to the next portion, from verse 16 to 32, where it talks about the characteristics of a wise person. The first thing it says is, a wise person avoids all evil and guards his ways. It's in black and white, there is no grey area. We do not go on the sidelines of it, we do not try and sneak around through it, but we avoid evil completely. The second thing is, it says, they give heed to and they promote instruction. So they're not just the kind of people who are trying to advise you or correct you in every turn. They're also willing to listen and give heed to instruction when it is given to them. The third thing it says is, they trust in God and they seek godly counsel. This verse is a little confusing. The verse says, there is a path that seems right, but eventually it leads to death. This is a little confusing because I'm wondering if the path is right, then why would it lead to death? But then God showed me that, it seems right to you. But how many times have we actually stood up and asked God before we did something saying, Daddy, is it okay? Can I do this? Can I go this way? Can I go this far? Can I do something like this? And I think that's just a really characteristic thing of a person who seeks godly counsel. Then it talks about righteousness and patience. It also talks about some of the characteristics of a not so wise person. They say pride, violence, and starting fights and gossips. And these are pretty self-explanatory, so I'm not really going to get into detail on that. Moving on to the final part of this devotional where it talks about surrendering to God. I love how the chapter starts with a verse that says, to humans belong the plans of the heart, but from the Lord comes the proper answer of the tongue. And it also ends with saying, you may cast your lots and your votes, but the outcome is decided by the Lord. It's very nice because as I was reading this, I was wondering saying, if either way it's God's will which is going to prevail, then what is the point of my even making any plans? I can just sit and chill, right, and wait for His will to happen. But then God showed me that's not what He wants. He has created each and every one of us uniquely. The ideas, the talents, the creativity and the imagination we have are all unique to us. And God really loves it when we use this unique talent in a way to glorify Him. And that's what He wants us to do. If you read the next 2 verses, it gives us 2 criteria. The first one it says is that your motives are weighed by the Lord. So this is what God is testing to see. If by your ideas and your plans, you are looking to glorify yourself, or are you looking to glorify Him? That's the first criteria. And the second thing it says is, commit whatever you do to the Lord, and He will establish your plans. And these two really put it into perspective in saying that, these are the 2 things that God looks for. He looks to see what is our motive and whether we're committing it all to Him. So He does not really want us not to plan, but He wants us to plan with these 2 things in mind. And He will bring it to fruition. I was looking for the perfect example for this. And then God showed me the example of Daniel. Now we all know Daniel used to pray 3 times a day. And he was really an important member of King Darius' council. So there is this one instance where a group of ministers were plotting against Daniel go to King Darius and they tell him saying, they manipulate him into signing a decree which says that nobody is allowed to worship any other god or entity for the next 30 days except the king. And Daniel's response is just really beautiful. He goes into his room, he opens his window, and he kneels down and he prays just as he always did. I'm sure Daniel had this thought because I had it too, saying, why didn't God just stop King Darius from signing the decree? That would have been so much more easier. But then we all know what happens in the part of the chapter after that, where God sends his angels to, tie up the lion's mouth. And then King Darius goes on to issue another decree which says that every person in every corner of the world will fear and revere the God of Daniel. And that's just a really beautiful way to look at it. To say that when we surrender our plans and our situations to God, not just does He get glorified through it, but He will also make our lives a story for the ages. And when you think about it that way, it's just a really beautiful way to do. And that's what this chapter is calling you to do, to relentlessly and persistently trust and surrender everything to God. Now if you bear with me for just one more minute, I'd like to sing one of my favorite hymns and end this devotion. Oh, to Jesus I surrender all. To Him I freely give. I will ever love and trust in Him. His presence daily live. I surrender all. I surrender all to Thee, my blessed Savior. I surrender all. Thank you so much, and I would love to hear what you guys think in the comments below. Bye bye.